Hello friends, it's Daryl. And if you're a Disney fan like me, you probably know a lot about the history and little minute details about some Disney things, and you've probably heard about the oldest attraction at Walt Disney World in Florida, but I want to review it and add a little bit more details to it that you might not know. A lot of people might not realize that the story goes back to just before the turn of the 20th century, 1893 in Chicago, at the World's Columbian Exposition, the City of Lights, that attracted a huge percentage of the American population in 1893. Walt Disney's father actually worked as a builder and carpenter on this project. And if you look, you can see all the lights outlining all the buildings up and down the streets. And that's very reminiscent of how Walt designed Main Street, USA. One of the biggest attractions at Exposition was George Ferris's wheel. That's right, the Ferris wheel. And it was extremely popular, and it set the stage for the coming of other motorized electronic amusement devices. Amusement parks started opening all around the country, and Detroit was no exception. Just east of downtown Detroit, by the bridge that connects the mainland to Belle Isle, two competing amusement parks started in this area here in the picture on either side of the bridge. The whole area became known as Electric Park, but specifically the longest running amusement park was Riverside Park. Through the early part of the 20th century, the parks grew, but by the 1920s, one of the parks was suffering financial loss, and they consolidated both parks in the area further east of the bridge. The two areas here were the original areas, and then the final area was the one on the right that says Gabriel Richard Park. 107 years ago, in 1918, they commissioned a new ride from the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. It's this beautiful carousel. It featured 5 rows of horses, seating for 99, and was decorated with Lady Liberty and federal shields. This is the only image I could find of it in its original Detroit location. Sadly, the park sold it off 10 years later, and it was moved to New Jersey, to a place called Olympic Park in Maplewood. Olympic Park closed in 1967, and the Disney Corporation purchased this carousel to be remodeled and used at their new Florida theme park, the Magic Kingdom. It was a beautiful design and very impressive back in 1918, and even now it's just as pretty, just as it's been redone a little bit. Here's a nice comparison of the then and now photo. Purchasing, renovating, and setting up a 50-plus-year-old carousel halfway across the country is not an easy feat, and it takes a lot of special people. The person I want to tell you about today is this lady right here. Her name is Frances Isle Voght, sometimes referred to as Isla Voght. And sadly, she passed away back in February of 2025, but she leaves quite a legacy of her early years in Detroit, living in Florida, painting posters for Circus World, as an artist, as a Disney Imagineer, and in her retirement years, teaching art classes for senior citizens. She was a lovely lady, and I actually got to speak to her on the phone once. About 8 years ago, I reached out to her and asked her if she'd be willing to do an interview for my YouTube channel. She said she would, but she didn't have a lot of time that day. And I said, well, we'll keep it short on the phone, and next time I come down to Florida, maybe we can get together. And sadly, that never happened. When you're traveling like that, sometimes you don't have time, or the arrangements just don't meet up with someone's schedule. But I did have a nice phone conversation with her for about 10 minutes, and she said she didn't think that many people would be interested in hearing her stories, but I told her that for sure she was wrong. And she just, really all she had to say was that she really, really enjoyed her time working at Disney, and taking care of the horses and restoring the carousel were the highlight of her career. She was apparently meticulous in detail. People say that she went out of her way to do everything right and everything with flair. And certainly the Walt Disney World Carousel has flair. You look at the beautiful horses, 90 of them, all hand-carved and painted individually. It's just a beautiful work of art. We really have to look back and, thank Ms. Vogt for her work and dedication in getting this refurbished and put up in 1971 for the opening. And I hope it'll be there for years to come for many people to enjoy. So there you have it. Some more of the backstory behind the oldest attraction at Walt Disney World in Florida. And the next time you're there, I hope you'll take a few minutes and check it out, because it's 5 rows of horses. I think they said 90 total, and they're all painted differently, and it's really fun to watch and see them as they go around.